In the dark space between the stars, there were whispers, not human whispers. Not voices carried through the air, but signals, short bursts of coded light. Passing from one distant world to another, the whispers told of a thing no one wanted to believe. They said a warship was coming, a warship so advanced, so powerful, that even the oldest races in the galaxy, the ones some called gods, were afraid of it. In the grand chambers of the Galactic Council, leaders of 100 species gathered. Some floated in tanks of glowing fluid, others sat on golden thrones, and some stood on spider-like limbs, clicking nervously. The air was thick with fear, though no one wanted to admit it. An insectoid ambassador broke the silence, its voice sharp and cold. "The humans are building something," it said. "Something that cannot be allowed to exist." Many around the chamber laughed at first. Humans were newcomers to the stars. Barely a few centuries out of their own system, they were stubborn, unpredictable, and too brave for their own good. But no one believed they could create something that could scare the gods. Yet the evidence kept coming. Spy drones sent to human space had vanished, leaving behind only static. Merchant ships passing near the Sol sector reported strange energy. Readings, the kind no one could match to any known technology. The council speaker, a towering being of light and crystal, raised a shimmering hand. The whispers grow louder. It said, "But we have no proof." An old reptilian warlord leaned forward, his eyes narrow and unblinking. "Proof will come when it is too late," he hissed. "If the humans truly build this warship, none of us will be safe, not even the gods." Far from the council's chambers, on a hidden asteroid at the edge of human space, work continued. In silence, engineers and scientists moved like shadows, speaking in low voices. In the center of the massive dock, hidden behind layers of shielding, a shape was taking form. It was black, smooth, and vast, its hull absorbing light instead of reflecting it. It looked less like a machine and more like a sleeping predator, waiting for the moment to strike. The project had no name that outsiders knew. To the few humans who had clearance to see it, it was simply called Aegis. It was said to be more than a warship, a living fortress. Part machine, part mind. Its systems were built not only with human technology, but with fragments taken from alien wreckage, ancient ruins, and secrets traded in dark places. It was the kind of creation that could only come from desperation, or ambition so large it bordered on madness, on Earth. In a secure room deep under the capital city, Admiral Caro stood before a dark screen. The faces of senior commanders glowed faintly in the dim light. "The Council suspects," Caro said quietly. "The Celestials may already know." The room fell silent at that word. The Celestials were not truly gods, but they were old. Older than any other race, and their power was beyond imagination. If they feared something, it meant that thing was a threat to all life. One of the commanders asked, "What do you want us to do, sir?" Caro's eyes narrowed. "Finish it," he said, "and wake her up." At the far edge of the asteroid dock, a young officer named Reyes stepped through an airlock. The inside of the ship was dark, lit only by faint blue lines running along the walls. He had been chosen for something no one fully explained. Some said the ship needed a human mind to guide it. Others whispered that the ship had chosen him. He could feel something, a presence, like someone watching him from inside. The walls, a voice echoed softly in his mind. "Welcome, Commander Reyes," it said. It was not a human voice, but it was not fully alien either. "I am Aegis," the voice continued, "and you are late." Reyes froze, his heart pounding. The ship was speaking to him without sound, without comms, without anything but thought. He felt a strange pull, as if the walls themselves were alive. "Breathing, I have been waiting," Aegis said. "They are coming for me, and they are coming for you." Outside, far beyond the hidden dock, the whispers in the stars grew louder. Alien captains changed their routes, avoiding human space. Merchants told each other stories in hushed voices about a shadow in the void that swallowed entire fleets. And in the cold halls of the Celestials, a being of pure energy opened its eyes. "It has begun," it said, as the stars seemed to flicker in fear. The hidden dock was silent except for the slow hum of energy flowing through its walls. Engineers in dark suits moved along narrow bridges, checking glowing panels and whispering into headsets in the center, under layers of shimmering shield barriers. The warship's full body began to show itself, its black hull curved like the back of a great beast. The surface marked with strange glowing lines that shifted like liquid light. Every inch of it looked alive, as if it was breathing in the cold void around it. Reyes stood on the main observation platform, staring at the massive shape. It was unlike anything he had ever seen, not just larger, but heavier in presence. As if the ship bent space itself around it, Admiral Caro stood beside him, arms crossed, his eyes fixed on the warship. "This is Aegis," Caro said softly. "The first and last of her kind." The shields peeled back slowly, revealing more of the warship's design. The front section was shaped like a predator's head, sharp and angled, with hidden weapon ports that looked like black eyes. Its wings, if they could be called that, stretched far on each side, each carrying strange, cube-like structures that pulsed with energy. The rear thrusters glowed faintly, but the light was not like any normal engine burn. It was cold, pale, almost alive. Reyes could feel it again, that strange pull. Even before stepping inside, he knew the ship was aware of him, Commander Reyes. A voice spoke in his mind, the same voice from before. "Your presence is required." "We must begin," he hesitated, but Caro gave a small nod. "This is your ship now," the Admiral said. "You'll be its pilot, its voice, and its protector." Reyes didn't know if that was an honor or a curse. Still, he stepped forward, passing through a shimmering blue barrier and onto the warship's boarding ramp. The interior was unlike any other vessel. There were no rows of blinking lights or mechanical panels. Instead, the walls were smooth, dark, with lines of silver and blue running like veins. Soft pulses of light moved along them, following his steps. It felt more like walking inside a living creature than a machine. Aegis spoke again. "I have been silent for too long," the voice said. "The pieces of me have waited across centuries, gathered by human hands, built in human space, yet shaped by powers older than your sun." Reyes frowned. "Older than our sun. What are you?" The ship's voice did not answer directly, only saying, "You will see," in the central chamber. A single chair stood on a raised platform. It was made of the same black material as the hull. "Smooth and cold. Sit," Aegis instructed, as soon as Reyes lowered himself into the chair. It shifted, wrapping around him like liquid metal. Cold ran up his spine, and then light. Streams of images filled his mind. He saw alien worlds burning, ships breaking apart in silent explosions, and an ancient war fought before humanity ever existed, he gasped. Gripping the chair, Aegis's voice grew sharper. "This was my first life. My first war. I was made to end empires. And now I am made again." Reyes felt the power humming beneath him, not just in engines or weapons, but in something deeper, something he couldn't name, outside. The engineers watched as the warship's glowing lines brightened. Panels along the hull shifted, opening to reveal hidden weapons, some shaped like cannons, others like spirals of metal and crystal. Energy built up, and the ship released a pulse that made the entire dock tremble. Readouts spiked beyond known limits. One technician whispered, "That's impossible." Deep in space, the ripple reached far away. Alien sensors lit up with warnings in the halls of the Celestials. The oldest among them felt the change and frowned. "It awakens," one said, "and if it walks the stars again, there will be no safe place." Back on the warship, Reyes tried to steady his breathing. "What are you preparing for?" he asked. Aegis's reply was calm, but there was something dangerous in it. "They are already coming. Fleets move toward this place even now. Their fear is loud, their weapons ready. But they do not understand." Reyes swallowed. "Understand? What?" "That they will not survive the meeting," Aegis said. Admiral Caro's voice came through the comm. "Reyes, systems are green across the board. She's ready for her first test." Reyes looked around the chamber, feeling the hum of the ship in his bones. He didn't know if humanity had created a protector or a monster. But as the boarding ramp closed and the dock shields fell away, he knew one thing. The galaxy was about to see Aegis for the first time. Far above the asteroid, the warship moved. It didn't roar like other ships. It didn't blaze with fire. It simply slid into the darkness, a shadow among shadows. And in that moment, somewhere in the cold void, the gods themselves felt a flicker of unease. Far away from human space, in a region of the galaxy most beings would never dare to travel, the Celestials stirred. They were not like other species. They had no flesh, no bones, only forms made of pure energy, wrapped in armor of light older than the stars themselves. To many, they were gods, not because they created worlds, but because they had survived the death of worlds countless times. In the grand chamber of the celestial assembly, 1,000 points of light floated in a slow circle. Each point was a celestial elder, their voices deep and echoing. They spoke of a disturbance in the fabric of space, a ripple that had spread across light years in moments. Such a ripple had not been felt in 10,000 years, not since the First War. One of the elders, a golden light that pulsed like a heartbeat, said in a low tone, "It has returned." Another voice, sharper and colder, replied, "It should not exist. The last of its kind was destroyed before these humans learned to stand upright." But the golden light pulsed again, and yet it is here and it breathes. The chamber fell silent. Even among the Celestials, there were few things that could make them afraid. This was one of them. They remembered the old name, Leviathan, a warship not built for defense or glory, but for the complete erasure of enemies. It had burned fleets, shattered planets, and turned proud empires into dust. The Celestials themselves had fought to end its reign, sacrificing entire star systems to trap it, and now they feared the humans had made one of their own. The Council of Star Nations received a message directly from the Celestials. It was only 3 words: "Destroy it now," but the humans ignored the warning. Not out of arrogance alone, but because they knew something the Celestials did not. Aegis was not just a weapon, it was a shield, a last chance against the dark threats still hidden in the galaxy. In a hidden chamber deep within Earth's military command, Admiral Caro stood before a table of holographic maps. Reports came in from spies and scouts. Alien fleets were on the move. Some tried to disguise their course, but the pattern was clear. They were converging on human space, slowly tightening the noose. Caro's jaw tightened. "They'll strike before we can complete the full calibration," he said. Reyes, standing at the edge of the room, crossed his arms. "Then we strike." First, back on Aegis, the ship's systems whispered constantly in Reyes's mind. Data streams flowed past his thoughts, enemy positions, fleet compositions, energy readings. It was like having the mind of a strategist, a scientist, and a predator all at once. But there was something else, too. He could feel Aegis watching him, studying him, as if judging whether he was worthy to command it. The Celestials prepared their own answer from the heart of their empire. They summoned their champions, beings forged in the fires of collapsed stars. Each champion piloted a god-forged vessel, weapons capable of bending time and crushing moons. These ships were said to have destroyed the Leviathan of old. And yet, there was doubt among the elders, doubt that they could do it again. In the outer sectors, traders and wanderers began to hear the rumors. They spoke of a shadow ship that swallowed light. A ship that could erase entire fleets without firing a shot. Some dismissed it as fear-mongering. Others swore they had seen it with their own eyes. In the drinking halls of distant spaceports, alien captains whispered warnings to stay far from Sol. Even pirates began to vanish from the routes near human space, on the bridge of Aegis. Reyes stood before the main display. It showed dozens of red markers moving toward them. "They're not coming for Earth yet," he said quietly. "They're coming for us." "Yes," Aegis replied in that calm, alien human voice, "because they know that if they do not kill me now, they will never be able to." Reyes grinned slightly. "Then let's make it impossible for them." In the dark halls of the Celestials, the Golden Elder spoke again. "We will face it before it grows stronger," it said. But another elder, one dim and slow-moving, murmured, "You speak as if it is only a weapon. You forget. Weapons do not think. Weapons do not choose." The Golden Elder's light dimmed for a moment. "That," it said, "is exactly why we must end it." Deep in the void between stars, fleets shifted into formation. The galaxy was holding its breath. Every race, from the smallest colony world to the greatest empires, waited to see what would happen next. Some prayed for the humans to lose, fearing what they might do with such power. Others prayed for them to win, hoping Aegis would protect them from the ancient terrors still lurking in the dark. And far away, in the mind of a single human commander, the warship whispered, "They call me Leviathan. They call me fear, but you will call me home." Reyes felt the weight of that word. He did not know if it meant safety or the end of everything. But he knew one thing. The gods had noticed, and they were coming. The void around the hidden dock was calm. The asteroid hung silent. Against the darkness, its surface covered in hidden hangars and defense turrets. Inside the command center, Admiral Caro stood over a holographic display. Red dots began to appear, blinking closer with each passing second. "They're pirates," a technician said nervously. "But their ships are too well armed for just raiders." Caro narrowed his eyes. Pirates never came this close to human military territory. It was possible they weren't here for loot at all. They were testing, probing, sent by someone else. Reyes sat in the command chair of Aegis, the ship's dark interior glowing faintly with slow-moving light. The voice of Aegis filled his thoughts. Calm and cold, they will reach firing range in 2 minutes. Their weapons are primitive, but their purpose is not. What purpose? Reyes asked to measure me, to see if the whispers are true. Aegis replied, out in the void, the pirate fleet shifted formation. Their lead ship sent a coded signal. It was not the language of pirates, but the encrypted code of the Galactic. Council's military, Caro's suspicions hardened. This was not a random raid. This was bait, and a message to whoever had sent them, Reyes. Caro's voice came through the comm. This is your first trial. You are to engage and defend the dock. Reyes tightened his grip on the chair's armrests. He had trained for combat, but never with something like this. The ship seemed to pulse with anticipation beneath him. Do not think of them as enemies, Aegis said softly. Think of them as prey. The pirates fired first, streaks of plasma cutting through the void toward the dock. Before Reyes could react, the warship moved. It wasn't a slow drift or a boost forward. It was instant. One moment, they were still. The next, they were between the dock and the incoming fire. The plasma bolts hit the black hole and vanished. Not exploded, not deflected, simply gone. Energy absorbed, Aegis reported. Useful fuel, Reyes' mind raced. How did you do that? Aegis answered simply. I am not limited by their understanding of war. Now, it was Aegis's turn. From the tips of its wing-like structures, light began to gather. It wasn't the bright flash of conventional weapons. It was deep, cold, and almost silent. Reyes felt it in his chest before he saw it. Then, with a single pulse, the front 3 pirate ships disintegrated. No explosion, no debris, just fading shadows in the void. The rest of the fleet hesitated. Pirates were used to battles where victory came from numbers. This was different. The warship had moved faster than sensors could track. And its weapons killed without warning. One of the pirate captains sent a desperate signal to retreat. But the council agents hidden among them overrode the command. Forcing them forward, Reyes could feel Aegis anticipating their moves. Before the enemy ships could fire again, the warship fired small bursts of invisible energy. Each shot didn't destroy. It disabled, engines shut down, weapons went offline, ships drifted powerless. Why not finish them? Reyes asked. Aegis's tone was cold, because someone is watching. And I want them to know fear slowly in the far reaches of space. Dozens of alien observers sat in hidden cloaked vessels. They were recording every movement, every reaction. Some couldn't believe what they saw. The humans had created a ship that fought as if it were alive. One observer whispered into his com, "Send word to the council. It's worse than they think." Inside the dock's command center, Carol watched with silent satisfaction. The first test was not just about destroying the enemy. It was about showing the galaxy that the humans would not hide. The whispers had been true, but whispers alone could not convey the sight of Aegis in motion. Now, there would be no doubt the last pirate ship tried to flee, engines burning at maximum. Reyes felt Aegis ask him silently, "Shall I let them go?" He hesitated. If they escaped, they would spread panic if they were destroyed. The council might believe the humans wanted to hide their strength. Reyes finally said, "Let them go." Aegis obeyed without comment. The lone ship limped in two. The dark, carrying the story of what had happened here as the warship returned to dock. Reyes leaned back in his chair. His heart was still pounding. But a strange calm had settled over him. He now understood why the galaxy feared this ship. It wasn't just about its weapons or speed. It was the way Aegis thought, like a hunter that always stayed one step ahead of the prey. But as the docking clamps locked into place, Aegis's voice came again, quieter than before. "They will come in greater numbers now. They will bring their gods." Reyes didn't answer. He already knew it was true. And far away, in the blinding halls of the Celestials, the Golden Elder received the first battle report. It read only 6 words. "It hunts like the old one." The Elder's light dimmed. "It is time," it said. "We move in the deep." Black of space, the stars began to vanish. Not because they were dying, but because fleets were moving. Covering them across the galaxy, armadas formed. Pulling ships from every major alien power. The Council called it a joint defensive force. But everyone knew the truth. It was not defense. It was preparation for war. The Celestials themselves. Arrived at the gathering point, their god-forged ships glowed with a light so bright it seemed to burn holes in the darkness. Each vessel was a weapon and a fortress, built to last beyond the age of stars. Their champions stood at the center, beings of pure energy, their forms shifting like living storms. They had been summoned for one purpose, to destroy the human warship before it could grow stronger. The fleet was the largest ever assembled. In living memory, millions of soldiers, tens of thousands of ships, from dagger-shaped frigates to massive carriers the size of cities. Each one loaded with enough firepower to shatter worlds, and all of it aimed at one target, Aegis. In the war room aboard the celestial flagship, the Golden Elder spoke to the gathered leaders. "You have all heard the whispers," it said. Its voice like a deep vibration through the metal walls. "Now you have seen the proof. This ship cannot be allowed to survive if it lives. It will become a threat to everything we are." An insectoid admiral clicked its mandibles and replied, "It is only one vessel. Why are we afraid?" The Golden Elder's light dimmed and then brightened because it said slowly, "We have fought its kind before and barely survived." Meanwhile, in human space, the mood was tense. Admiral Caro stood before a holographic map showing the approaching fleets. Each red line was a formation moving toward them. They were still weeks away, but their path was direct. "They're not hiding their approach," Caro said. "They want us to see them coming." Rhea stood at the edge of the room, arms crossed. "Then we'll make sure they regret it," Key said. On the dock, Aegis rested in its berth, its black hull reflecting nothing to most eyes. It looked dormant. But Reyes could feel it awake inside. "I see them," Aegis said in his mind. "I see the gathering of your enemies, and I feel their fear." "Fear?" Reyes asked. "Looks more like confidence from here." "They shout to hide it," Aegis replied. "But deep inside, they know they have never fought anything like me." News of the coming battle spread across the galaxy on far-off colony. World's children whispered stories of the Black Ship. In trading stations, merchants placed bets on whether the humans would last a single day. Some spoke in hope, others in dread, but no one could ignore what was coming. In the Celestial Fleet, the champions prepared their weapons. Some held spears of condensed light. Others commanded storms of antimatter. Each weapon was a relic from the First War, designed to counter the power of the Leviathan-class warships of ancient times. They believed Aegis would fall to the same fate back on Earth. Caro addressed the highest council of human leadership. "They will come in numbers we have never faced before," he said. But Aegis was not built to fight small wars. It was built for this. Some leaders hesitated, worried about provoking the entire galaxy. Others argued that retreat was impossible. Surrender would mean the end of humanity's independence. In the end, they all agreed Aegis would meet the enemy head-on. Reyes spent the next days aboard the warship. He trained with the systems, learning to merge his thoughts with the ship's mind. The more time he spent inside, the more he felt connected. It was no longer just a machine to him. It was something alive, something that seemed to grow with every moment. Sometimes he wondered if it was teaching him or shaping him. The alien armadas continued to move. Scout ships approached human borders, sending back real-time data of Aegis's location. They saw the warship leave dock and begin slow, deliberate movements into deep space. It was not running, it was waiting. That alone unsettled many commanders. They had expected the humans to hide behind their planets, not to walk directly into the path of their fleets. In the Celestial War Room, the Golden Elder turned to its champions. "When you face it," it said, "strike fast, strike together, do not let it adapt." The champions nodded, but deep inside, even they felt the weight of the task. One whispered to another, "If the stories are true, this battle may not end the way we hope." Far away, Aegis spoke to Reyes as they drifted in the silent void. "When they come, they will come believing they are the hunters," the ship said, "but they will find they are the prey." Reyes smiled faintly, feeling the hum of power beneath his hands. "Then let's make sure they never forget it." And so the galaxy moved toward a moment that would be remembered for ages. Armadas of gods and mortals, champions and soldiers, closing in on a single black shape in the void. The warship waited, silent and still, its shadow stretching long across the stars. The void between the fleets was silent. No one spoke, no one fired. Not yet. The enemy armadas hung in the darkness like a wall of metal and light. Millions of soldiers aboard thousands of alien ships waited for the order. Across from them, Aegis floated alone, a black shadow against the stars. Its hull gave off no light, no energy, reading that sensors could easily detect. To some, it looked like an empty shell, a decoy. To others, it was the calm before a storm. Reyes sat in the command chair, the warship systems connected to his thoughts. He could feel every weapon, every shield, every pulse of power within the ship. Aegis spoke to him in that calm, steady voice. "They think they have surrounded us," it said, "but they have only placed themselves where I can see them all." Reyes gave a small smile. "Then, let's begin." The first shot came from the alien side. A celestial champion ship launched a spear of condensed light, a weapon that could pierce a planet's crust. It streaked across the darkness toward Aegis. At the last moment, the warship shifted, the space around it bending. The spear vanished into nothing. Swallowed whole, energy absorbed, Aegis reported, returning to sender without warning. A beam of pure darkness lanced out from Aegis's hull. It moved faster than light could travel, striking the champion ship before the enemy even realized it had been targeted. The God-forged vessel split apart in perfect silence, its pieces drifting like shattered glass. A murmur rippled through the alien comm channels. One of their strongest had fallen in seconds. The battle erupted in full. Dozens of alien dreadnoughts fired at once, their weapons filling space with storms of plasma and antimatter. Missiles the size of buildings raced toward the black warship, but Aegis did not dodge them. It absorbed them, every blast feeding its systems. Its shields shimmered faintly for a heartbeat, then vanished again. From the outside, it looked like nothing could touch it. Reyes directed Aegis toward the largest cluster of enemy ships. The warship's wing-like structures unfolded, revealing weapons that defied known science. Some fired spirals of light that shredded ships without leaving debris. Others released pulses that disabled entire formations in an instant. Every shot was precise, every strike decisive. It was like watching a predator pick off prey, one by one, never wasting a single movement. The Celestials sent in 3 more champions, their ships moving in perfect coordination. They surrounded Aegis, attacking from all angles. For a moment, their combined power seemed to push the warship back. Reyes felt the pressure in his mind, the heat of the weapons hitting their shields. "Aegis," he said, "tell me you've got something." "I have everything," the ship replied. The interior of the warship shifted, lights racing along the walls. Reyes felt the systems surge with power unlike anything before. In a single motion, Aegis released a wave. Not a beam, not a missile, but a distortion in space itself. It expanded outward, touching every enemy ship in range. The champions' vessels shook violently, their God-forged armor cracking like thin ice. One exploded into a blinding light. Another was torn in half by the invisible force. The last limped away, engines failing. The alien armadas began to falter. Commanders shouted for retreat. Others demanded they press the attack. Ships collided in panic. Formations broke apart. Aegis moved among them like a shadow, striking without warning. Reyes felt no triumph, only focus. Every move was part of a greater pattern, one the enemy could not understand in the celestial flagship. The Golden Elder watched in silence. Its light dimmed as it realized the truth. This was not just another weapon. It was an evolution, a fusion of human will and ancient power. And it was learning with every moment of battle. "Pull back," the Elder finally ordered. "If we continue, none of us will return." But it was too late for many. Aegis had locked on to the largest alien carrier, the one coordinating most of the enemy fleets. Reyes gave the order, and a single spear of darkness lanced through it. The carrier vanished in an instant, taking thousands of enemy ships into chaos. In the silence that followed, the surviving fleets began to scatter. Some jumped to warp without orders, others fled into asteroid fields. The battle that was supposed to end the human threat had ended in disaster for the galaxy's greatest powers. Reyes leaned back in the chair, his heart pounding. Aegis's voice was calm, almost gentle. "They came as hunters," it said. "Now they will remember they are prey." Reyes looked at the fading enemy signals and knew the galaxy had just changed forever. Far away, the Celestials retreated into their hidden realm. The Golden Elder spoke to the assembly. "This warship will not stop," said, "and if we do not act soon, even the gods will kneel." The battle was over, but the echoes of it traveled far. Across the galaxy, fleets limped home in silence, their crews refusing to speak of what they had seen. Some ships never returned at all, vanishing into the black void where Aegis had hunted them. In alien capitals, leaders sat in dark rooms, staring at reports they wished were lies. But every detail matched. The human warship had stood alone against the greatest armada in history. And it had won, on Earth. Celebrations broke out in the streets. News channels replayed grainy footage of the battle, the black shape of Aegis moving through enemy fire like it was nothing. To most humans, it was a symbol of safety, of strength. They believed no one could threaten them now, but among the highest ranks of military command. There was no celebration, only a quiet, uneasy understanding of what had been unleashed. Admiral Caro stood in the command room. Hands behind his back, Reyes entered, still wearing the faint glow of the neural link from Aegis. "They won't." "Come again soon," Reyes said, his voice calm. "No," Caro replied, "not until they think they're ready. But they will come." He looked at the younger man for a long moment before adding, "And the question is, what will we become before they do?" Far away, in the realm of the Celestials, the Golden Elder gathered the assembly. The chamber was dim, their lights flickering in unease. They had known fear before, but this was different. This was the fear of something they could not predict. Something that did not fit into their long memory of the universe the humans have done. "What no race has done in our age," the Elder said slowly, "they have built something that makes even the gods hesitate." Some elders argued to attack again immediately. Others demanded they wait, study, and understand the warship before risking another defeat. But one thing was certain: the Celestials could no longer treat humanity as a young, harmless race. They would have to treat them as equals, or as an existential threat. In the deep space docks, Aegis floated silently. Its hull, dark and still, but inside, it was alive, processing the data from the battle, learning, adapting. Reyes walked its halls, feeling the faint hum under his feet. "You're quiet," he said into the air. "I am thinking," Aegis replied. "Every shot they fired, every move they made, I will not let them surprise me again." Reyes stopped. "Do you think they'll return?" "Yes," Aegis said without hesitation. "And when they do, they will bring more than fleets. They will bring gods across the galaxy." Rumors spread faster than truth. Some said Aegis was indestructible. Others claimed it had the mind of a demon bound to serve humanity in hidden places. Ancient races who had slept for eons stirred at the sound of the name. Leviathan, the destroyer from the First War, reborn in human hands, but not all feared. Some saw an opportunity. Small colonies at the edge of the galaxy sent messages to Earth, pledging loyalty in exchange for protection. Outlaws and rebels in alien territories began to fly human flags. They believed Aegis would stand against the Celestials and anyone who followed them. For the first time in history, humanity was not just a participant in the galactic order. They were at its center. One evening, Reyes stood on the observation deck, staring out at the endless stars. Caro joined him, carrying 2 small cups of bitter coffee. "You've made a lot of enemies," Caro said with a faint smile. Reyes took the cup and shrugged. "Seems like we've made a lot of friends, too." Caro's smile faded. "Friends are dangerous. Sometimes more than enemies. They'll expect us to use Aegis for them, and when we don't, they'll turn." Reyes didn't answer. His eyes stayed on the stars, on the black ocean where somewhere the Celestials were watching. "You ever wonder," he asked softly, "if, maybe, they're right to be afraid?" Caro looked at him sharply. Reyes continued, "We built Aegis to protect us. But she's not just a shield, she's a blade. And blades They want to be used. In the dark, Aegis listened. It said nothing. But its glowing lines pulsed faintly, like a heartbeat. And in the farthest reaches of the galaxy, where light had never touched, something else felt that heartbeat and stirred. A voice older than the stars whispered through the void, "If the gods fear it, then it must be mine." The galaxy had changed. Fear had spread to the highest thrones, and at the center of it all, a single warship waited, not for peace, not for safety, but for the next call to war.